one memorable story I can tell is like For the Fallen Dreams comes in, they like start bringing in these packages of beer or whatever. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. Like you guys can't drink here. And they're like, oh, we can have a few beers, right? Like we're not gonna, it's gonna be fine. And I was just like, no, like actually we don't allow any kind of drugs or drinking or anything here. And they kind of basically talked me into it, to allow them to have beers only. And to this day, they are the only band that was allowed to drink any kind of alcohol while recording. For the Fallen Dreams is the only band.
Real quick before getting into today's episode, just wanted to shout out a few quick things. First of all, we have a Patreon. For as low as $1.50 a month, you can get early access to these episodes as well as your name in the credits. And with the $5 tier, you can gain access to member-only channels in our Discord server. Secondly, we have merch. 2 designs that we absolutely love. You can find those over at indiemerchstore.com. And last but not least, we do these podcast recordings live on Twitch. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, see these as they happen. We do those every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST. Yeah, that's it. Links to everything I just mentioned will be in the description, along with links to our Discord server and our other socials. That's it. That's all I got to plug. Enjoy the episode. Joey Sturgis, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for taking the time to do this. You were kind of explaining to me a busy guy these days. So,
Yes, thanks for having me. My management reached out about this, and I squeezed it in because I'm flying tomorrow to go to LA for a workshop, and then I've got NAM, and then I've got Shiprock. So very busy schedule over the next 2 weeks. But I told my team like I want to be on more podcasts, and so they made it happen.
There we go. Yeah, so you put out an Instagram story or something a little while ago, being like, yeah, I want to do more of these. I want to do more podcasts and stuff. Is there like a reason for that, for wanting to do more of those?
Well, aside from the publicity that comes along with just being on the internet, I also am a really good talker, so it's something that's very easy for me to do, very like low risk, you know. And I feel like it's a good use of my time because I think that there's also a lot of intrigue and interest around things that I know or things that I talk about. So it's a good win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I guess so.
Completely
But
true.
it's just a guy like you with as many things going on as you do, you know, could very much do without doing podcasts to fill up your time even more. So,
Well, you'd be surprised because it's really hard to like talk about yourself from your porch. It's like the metaphor I say. Like,
yeah.
imagine if you just like opened a door of your house and just stood on your porch and was like, I'm Joey Sturgis. And you did that every day. It's like, okay, I'm reaching like the 10 neighbors around me, but like, how do I go beyond that? And so, you know, podcasting is one way to kind of talk broadly or more into different audiences that maybe I don't reach every day.
There we go.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, if we're talking about our community, you're responsible for like 80% of the era itself. So obviously they all know, but I get your point. Like, it's cool to be able maybe to introduce even like a newer generation. Like, we keep forgetting that there's also people getting into it now. Like, at the moment, they don't have the context, don't really know. They see videos, they're like, oh, it's cool. But to have, you know, the context behind, oh, I was working like that, MySpace and all that stuff. So I think it's cool for you to be able to introduce people to that and the world of producing behind. So it's a good idea.
I think there's we're living in an interesting time period because there's two sides. You have technology and culture, who are both preserving older artists and older music. And there's a level of nostalgia that comes into play, but there's also a level of curiosity and discovery that's coming into play. I'll give you a perfect example. Stand Up and Scream came out a really long time ago. And there's probably 14-year-olds right now that don't know anything about Stand Up and Scream, maybe never even heard of Asking Alexandria. So the challenge there is like that music actually still works for that demographic. It's still preaching similar messages. It still feels relevant. But the people who made the music have grown up and they're older. So they're making music for an adult audience now, and the people that have grown up with them, alongside them as fans, are listening to that music and also maturing in their music tastes. But there's a whole demographic below them, of people who are the age that they were when they began, who
Hmm.
are maybe not exposed to that music, and so we're seeing like a necessity to figure out how to take your catalog, if you're a band that's been around that long, to like how do I make this catalog work in today's market for this demographic at that age point, like. And luckily now we have streaming is readily accessible to the point where it's like all you got to do is really just figure out how to point the person towards the playlist or towards the album or towards the song, but that's still a challenge for labels and artists. So like that's kind of where my head's starting to turn, is I'm trying to think of like how to solve that problem, but it's not an easy one to solve. But like I've been around long enough now to where that is a problem that I have to think about.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I have clients that have been making records since 2009. So, you know, we're in 2026. This is almost 20 years ago, and 3 years from now it'll be 20 years ago, uh if I have that math right. Um and so it's like, what do we do, and how can we play it smart? Can we create music that maybe throws it back a little bit, and then we re-release an EP and we have some old songs on there and some new songs on there? Is that like
Mm.
a strategy? Or do we go back to the old songs and we just make new versions of them, or get creative with the sort of the 20th year anniversary re-release, or like what's the strategy for that? And that's kind of some of the things I'm thinking about. But long story short is I I feel really fortunate to be young enough. I mean, I'm getting old, but to be young enough to like have this problem. Like it's so cool
Yeah.
to be thinking about like, okay, what does a 20th year anniversary look like for stand up and scream and all that kind of stuff?
Which is cool in the era that we're in, right? Because we couldn't back then. It was like if you don't have the CD, the context or something. Nowadays, you could have like a, for no reason, 14, 15-year-old on TikTok, something that goes viral with the song. Next thing you know, they're all introduced. For them, it's, they don't care if it was made 40 years ago, 20 years ago. If it's cool now and they resonate with it, that's why you see stuff right now bigger than ever, like Deftones and all that stuff. And some bands are bigger now. um, I think something that helps that I've seen a few times is people within the band kind of reflecting and being like, oh my God, it was me. Like, I know for a while, you were talking about Asking. Like, I remember Danny, he would stream and he would look at himself and he was like, oh my God, I had so much hair and stuff like that. He would like just like compare.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is also a really good way to, it's like nostalgic for the people that are still around that were there, but I think it also introduced people like, oh my God, that band was actually that back then. So in my opinion, it's a good way. But as you said, it's like it needs, it wouldn't work that way maybe for everybody. So like you need to think about different, like a million different strategies for each personalized thing,
Do
I guess.
Yeah.
do you feel like a lot of bands are on board with that kind of vision though? Because you kind of alluded to the
No.
fact that a lot of these people are like moving on, right? Like
No, no,
they're
no.
like not
That's
about
that
their 20th anniversary unless there's money to be
Yeah.
made, right?
No, and that's part of the problem, is that some of these have been sold off, you
Mm.
know, and paid off and things like that. So obviously in those scenarios, it's kind of just like, you know, the person that bought it obviously wants to monetize it, and the person that sold it obviously wants to move on.
Yeah.
And so you get kind of like you get a little bit of like a, you know, a situation there that doesn't have an answer. It doesn't have an answer, and that's
Hmm.
my brain is like, there might be an answer though. There might be something that both sides would be like, "Yep, that's cool." And I haven't figured it out yet. But I'm thinking about it because it's coming up. It's gonna start repeating. You know, I started my career pretty much 2005, 2006, Myspace era. So all of these things are going to start happening. That it's going to be the 20th year. over and over and over again every single year. Oh, it's
my
20th
back
year
hurts
of
as
this.
you say that, man.
It hurts.
You know, so I'm like, man, what could I be doing that would like totally refresh all these catalogs? I don't have any answers right now, but it's just where my head's at.
Do you like, just out of, if it's not too personal, like how do you feel about, because I'm guessing you're associated with that era obviously all the time, like people probably do you feel good about that, or sometimes are you like, well, I'm doing other things also, you know what I mean, like I'm not just responsible for Miss May I and all those bands type thing? Like how do you feel about being associated with it?
I mean, I'm very proud and humbled, honestly. And a lot of us did not know what the hell we were doing, so it's a miracle that any of this stuff like mattered. None of us had the vision to see that this would become something so um, prominent in the scene. It was really just kind of like a bunch of people chasing their dreams. Especially you brought up Miss May I, so I can remember ending a recording session at literally at 5 a.m. And they had school that day, and so they would drive 2 hours to school and get there at like 7 or 8 in the morning, go sleep through classes, blah, blah, blah. But they're there, they show up, they're not getting in trouble there, at least at school. And as soon as the bell rings, like get right back in their car and drive right back to the studio and just get right back into recording. And we just did that on repeat. That's how kind of nuts it was back then. And it's like, it's a time that, you know, I don't think we'll ever see it again. Like the world has changed so much, and there's a lot of things that are different about how music is communicated and marketed and everything, and that's cool. It's fine, but I just I feel so fortunate to be alive during the time period that we made a lot of those records, and I'm still making records, but it's just a different time period now. There's different stakes, it's different rules, there's different ways to go to the next level. And it's not all about what we do on the recording. The recording is now just one part of it. Um, and back in my era, like at least in the early years, I was one of the people to really take a band like sort of a diamond in the rough and make them look super polished make them sound super polished and all that. And that was a very easy trick to just repeat, you know. Just insert any label, insert any band, and boom, it worked because we were just ahead of the curve. Now you got to be ahead of the content curve. But I will say this, I don't want to be all like doom and gloom. I think that if you're still out there writing really, really, really good music, it's going to resonate. The number one thing time and time again that I see in any kind of music, it doesn't matter what genre it is, if you're writing really good songs, that is basically the secret. That's the secret sauce. It all starts with the song. Now, you might have a really good song and you're like, Joey, I have great songs. They're really good songs, but I'm still like, I'm nowhere. I'm nobody. Well, all the other stuff matters too. But if you have all that other stuff and you have bad songs, you're also not going to make it. So you need good songs.
Yeah, you say that all the time. You always like music first, because we all often have that discussion. I keep saying like in the band, it's like it's such a big asset to have like the rock star person, like the person has like the vision, like an Ollie Sykes or somebody like that, which he agrees with me, but he's like, yeah, but the music's still, and I'm like, yeah, the music needs to be good. But to me, it's such like a big, like the front man who's like, or the person there, that it's like, to me, it's like half the work is done just because people are looking in their way no matter what. So if the music is pretty good, I'm like, it's probably gonna do well. But just an opinion. I wanted to say something though, because you were talking about like the studio, the experience and stuff like that. And you're talking about the era. I think what helped a lot was also the experience of it. It was the first time, I'm speaking for me, but our generation would be exposed to the experience with the studio updates. I still remember the studio updates with like For the Fallen Dreams with Dylan and all those people. Like, and I was just like, it looked pretty crazy. Like, and whatever, like Attila and all those bands. It was also like the only name for a lot of people that we would remember in terms of producer was you, because we would see like the experience in some of that. Like, how was it for you to kind of, was the beginning, I don't know, it was filmed probably with like cameras with cassettes or whatever. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, how was that for you to start like filming and just like it was a thing, kind of.
Yeah. So I honestly I can't really remember exactly where this all started. Like I don't I do have a good story about all of this, but I can't tell you the origin story, but I can tell you what happened. Basically in around 2006, a website called YouTube came up. I signed up for an account. Found out that you could upload videos. And keep in mind that, you know, I'm an internet nerd, just like a lot of people that I know. And back in those days, there was not an easy way to get a video out to people. Like being able to share a video nowadays is probably the easiest thing you could do. Like you can, a 90-year-old grandma can share a video, but like,
And they
By
do.
accident, no less, but yes.
yeah, back then it was like you had to have like a flash site and you had to have like a license and you had to have like a server. It was like complicated, right? And then YouTube comes along and is like, hey, just you upload videos to our website and then anyone can watch them. I'm like, what? This is cool. Let me check this out. Now, keep in mind, back then, we had to, like you said, the cassette, like we had to film everything on a cassette. So I went to Walmart, I bought a handheld camcorder, brought it to the studio, started pointing at stuff, recording things. And then at the end of the studio session, I'd basically have to play back the footage into the computer because it's on a cassette tape. So the cassette tape has to play back and the computer basically like live records it. So you have to watch all the footage all over again. And then you get it on the computer and then you can watch it again and cut it up and turn it into edits. And so that's how we would end ours. So I would pass the camera around all day long, like just film whatever you think is funny or cool or just like, you know, whatever stuff you want to be in the video, film it. And at the end of the day, we'll all watch it back and we'll create a video and we'll upload it on YouTube. And it's like this was part of my studio session. So I was recording an album and working with a band, but I was also like making a video. And I think I was one of the first people to really like kind of champion that idea. And then it started to become really popular to the point where it was like expected that we were going to do that. And there were time periods where that got in the way. So, but also that's when the technology started to flip over to digital. And like when I recorded Attack as an example, the company, I think it's called Flip or iFlip or something like that. They sent all of them little digital cameras and it was like about this big. It was like a little black thing and it had a built-in battery with a USB thing would pop out so you could like put it into your USB port on your computer. It had the camera and the microphone, everything was built in, and it had a screen on the back with a touch screen with little buttons and everything. So you basically just turn that thing on and you could just film around almost like a smartphone before we had smartphones. And we used the flip cameras for a while and we were able to keep doing studio updates there. But I would say where my inspiration came from that is, you know, back in the day when I was like 9 or 10 years old, I was watching the Metallica two-part documentary recording with Bob Rock, the Black Album. And it's like I watched that thing like so many fucking times to the point where it was like just branded into my brain. And so to go into a recording session and start making videos felt like a super like normal activity to be doing because I had already been conditioned by such an epic documentary. And obviously that thing is like well shot and because of its era, it's shot on like really, you know, big cameras and whatnot. So it was cool to me to be living in an era of time where like we had access to like cheap cameras, but it could still make it look pretty much about the same as what you would see in that documentary. And it also gave us a window of communication to the audience while the band was in a sense unable to communicate with the audience, because you got to remember this is when all we had was MySpace. Like social media was not a channel of communication in a big way. So to basically sit there all day or for several days, make a video and then upload it on YouTube and then get comments on the video from the fans. That was exciting. That was an exciting time. That was like something that like you right now I could make an Instagram post right now and I will get a comment while I'm basically posting it. It's like that didn't exist back then. So it was actually kind of a very innovative time for a lot of bands that were just learning how the marketing of music is starting to work. And I really feel fortunate to be like sort of at the forefront of that. Like I was one of the first people to have a Twitter account, one of the first people uploading studio diaries on YouTube. And honestly, it was all by accident. There's not like some big ass strategy behind it or whatever. It's just like how I grew up. Like I grew up watching the Metallica documentary and just wanted to make my own version of that. And it's freaking cool.
It's what you became though, because
Yeah.
that was our version for. I remember talking like, the dream when you're 16, you want to be in a band, you want to travel and all that stuff. It was part of that for us. We would see like the studio updates, and I was like, yeah, like Rise Rickers, we're gonna, you know what I mean? Like we're gonna, and I think what you showed people was the experience. Don't forget that back then, for people, for context, we didn't get to see the personality of our bands that much, the bands that you like and stuff. Like it was just like it was a photo of them and MySpace, and you see
Exactly.
their shows. But to see them in a context, they would play. I think they were playing video games at your place, if I'm
Yeah.
correct. Like
Yeah.
so you would
Yeah,
see them.
goofing off and just being fucking normal human beings, right? It was the
Yeah.
beginning of being able to have the veil kind of taken off of like
Yeah,
the mystery
exactly.
behind
Yep.
like these inaccessible people, that are rock stars or whatever.
Yep.
so
Yeah.
that
And
was huge too.
and we had like, we had those moments of clarity where we're like, oh, people are gonna think this is funny. Like if they see like Andy is asleep in the bathtub and then he wakes up, but he's covered in like monster cans and so we started like building scenes and skits and stuff because it was like they were sponsored by Monster and like how can we include that and so this is really the start of like what you see social media is today and like a lot of these bands got sort of a leg up on how to like take advantage of that before anyone else and I was down with it. Like for me, there were a lot of times where I had stuff to do that was so like I would be like, guys, the next step that I have to take on this song is gonna take like 5 hours. And I don't need any of you because I'm just gonna be sitting here clicking. It's like you guys can do whatever the hell you want. So they're like, let's make a video. And then they're like going around the house filming stuff. So it was kind of like a happy medium where I got the time that I needed to like do my job and then they got to do fun stuff and connect with their fans, which was awesome.
That's super good. Like, because I keep saying like experience, right? And I have a channel that I'm basically telling stories about the MySpace era, and obviously you're like in 80% of them. And every single time, that's what I'm noticing when I'm watching interviews from back then. People ask like, how was the recording, the experience? Every single time they're saying that you were pushing them to do so in a good way, and it was like their best material. Like the example that comes to mind is New Demons by Icy Stars, I believe. Like
Yeah.
that album, I was sleeping on it, but it's great. They were explaining that they didn't know they could sound like that. So I think for you, not only was it like a good way to promote yourself, but I think same discussion about the music, right? We're saying the songs needs to be good. I think for you, the experience still needs to be enjoyable, and you still
Oh
need
yeah.
to push those bands and stuff like that. So I don't think it would have been that legendary if that wasn't in place with the results, is what I'm saying as well.
Yeah. I mean, back then, I was very focused. So I had to, um, I I had to find ways to make the environment productive but also fun. And that was kind of really challenging because uh you know a lot of bands in those days want to, they want to party a little bit, they want to drink,
Mhm.
maybe they want to
Hmm.
do this and that and I had very strict rules around like you can't do any of that stuff here. Um you need to be focused on your album, and so there was like one memorable story I can tell is like For the Fallen Dreams comes in and they like start bringing in like these like packages of beer or whatever. And I was like, oh no, 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 like you guys can't drink here. And they're like, oh, we can have a few beers, right? Like we're not gonna, it's gonna be fine. And I was just like, no, like actually we don't allow any kind of drugs or drinking or anything here. And they kind of basically talked me into it, to allow them to have beers only. And to this day, they are the only band that was allowed to drink any kind of alcohol while recording. For the Fallen Dreams is the only band.
Wow. First of all, I'm not that surprised that it's them with the studio update. And I would have to guess that it's the Dylan era. I would have to
Yeah,
guess
it's the
that
Dylan
it's
era.
okay.
Yeah, that's
Perfect.
Yep, yep.
Perfect. No disrespect to Dylan, one of my
No,
favorites.
the
but
Chad era was very straight edge.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chad, I would have pictured more of a, but you just watch, for people watching, just watch those studio updates with Dylan and you won't be surprised to hear that they were maybe drinking as they're doing
beer.
that. So that's amazing.
But yeah, so I think the reason why people liked it, this is a cool story too. And I found this out many years later, actually. I was talking to Sean Keith, who has worked with Sumerian, also did Sharp Tone, and then is back with Sumerian again. And I don't remember how the hell we got on this conversation, but he basically said something like, he's like, well, you had the perfect scenario. He's like, you're a house in the middle of nowhere in Indiana where there's nothing to do. And it's perfect for us as a label because we know there's nothing to do. So the band comes to the studio and they make a record. And I'm like, I never thought of it that way. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, yeah, okay. That was actually a part of like, I guess what we were selling is that not only are we going to make a sick record and you know it's going to sound good, it's going to, it's actually going to get done because there's just nowhere for them to go. Like the nearest cool city was 90 minutes away. So like how many times are you actually going to go and do that and drive all that way and do all that? So it was kind of very conducive to being productive. And it was one of those scenarios where I was just in a zone, I was in my 20s. I didn't have anything to do. I had no distractions. I wasn't doing drugs or alcohol or nothing. So I woke up every day slamming energy drinks and recording bands. That was just my life. And I think that we churned out a lot of really awesome records because there were a lot of really hungry people who were just at the right age, chasing their dream and in the right group of guys with the right group of material. And I feel like I helped bring a lot of those visions to life. And I'm really glad that I was sort of around for that age of the internet where it was just a much different time. Like you could just post a bulletin and it would go to everyone that followed you. Like it was just so powerful. Like we had the tools, we had the keys, but a lot of bands did cool stuff with that. And that's honestly why I would attribute their success today is that they just were around during those times with those tools.
Yeah, able to get like the early leg up on capitalizing on success before it was nerfed to the ground,
Yeah, and before ads and all the nuances with that, and on nuances of social media now too, where it's like we're to a point now where you gotta really like be almost distracting to get people to pay attention to your music. Which
you got to be annoying with it. You got to show up constantly. You got to keep up with it. It's like, dude, we're writing an album for a year. What the fuck do you want us to say? But you kind of gotta, right? You kind of get stuck in these traps where, you're making content for the sake of making content, but you're like supposed to be making music. It's kind of
my favorite modern example of this is that I feel is like a band that's really just doing it right is Archspire,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just like these guys just got it right. It's like they got a hold of their community. They got funding for the album through their fans. The videos are fucking excellent. The songs are absolutely batshit crazy. And it's just one of those things where you watch that and you're just in awe. You're just like, wow, you guys are you look like Michael Jordan just shooting threes all day long, like it's no problem. And I'm sure to them it feels very anxiety inducing and stressful and all those things. But like from afar, it's just like, damn, you guys got this figured out. So I am inspired by that kind of thing, because that to me is sort of like the new age version of what we were doing back in the day, except we were on labels and stuff. So we had like, I guess, kind of like extra tricks and extra tools. But it's cool to see a band like that who really just kind of goes, you know what, we're just going to do this like on our own. And we're going to fund it through our fans, and we're going to do the ideas that we want to do. We're going to do them the way we want to do them. And it's all working. It's still like very good stuff, good videos, good music, good purpose behind it as well. You know, they haven't sold out. They're not trying to phone it in. Like it's just like they're on fire.
When they were looking for a new drummer, and they decided to turn the whole thing into like we're gonna do reactions around this, we're gonna that sort of stuff. I was like, yes, this is a good example of making content around the band, right? Like it's not forced. Like this is a thing that was happening, and they're funny dudes. They were able to stick a camera in front of their face and like do something funny with it. And like that's the stuff I love to see. But they're like an example of a band. I find it hilarious coming from them, because like their vocalist is like not even on social media, you know, like it's like they're like outside it. Like, yeah, sure, Dean has his YouTube channel and he's like about that, but like outside of that, they're pretty low key dudes, right? So for a band like that to be doing the content game so well, I think is really cool, right? It kind of just goes to show that, like, you know, it's not a YouTube guru thing. It's, you know, they're just making good stuff around the music.
It doesn't feel like an ad, right? Like I keep saying, like, you cannot go wrong by being authentic, and like people love to resonate. And that's the entire conversation we just had with like the studio updates and stuff like that. You just want to see that like there are people like you, they're having fun. Like a good example of that, like I love Bilmuri personally. Like I love that freaking band, and all that marketing. And we can talk about that, because it must be so cool for you to see, you know, where he is now. But like, it's memes all the time. Well done, funny, cool. Like the solo thing you just did, you probably saw that. Like you just telling people like, hey, you're making the solo.
Song.
It's gonna be on the song. Like to me, it's like there's this. It's people being brilliant enough to, I wouldn't say use their audience. Doesn't sound good, but like take advantage of where they are, but do it in a good, positive way, so that people are connecting, and then you feel like you're part of it. That's the best to me. Like you cannot go wrong with that. So Bilmuri was my first example, because I think they're doing it really well, but I think that's the way. If
you're absolutely right. Like that's a perfect example of what I'm trying to talk about is, you know, there's the one agitation that you hear a lot with independent artists and people who are trying to grow, that they're like, oh, I don't want to be a slave to TikTok in order to get my music career off the ground. It's like, but look at that though, right? Like that's like, to me, that's just like they figured it out. And honestly, like I look at Bilmuri as a source of inspiration, because I asked him one time, I was like, how do you come up with all those ideas? Because they're pretty like crazy and off the wall and everything. And he's like, I don't. He's like, my fans. He's like, they send them to me all day long. They just make them. They send them to me. I look at them. Whichever one makes me laugh the most is the ones that I post. And then they do really well. And he's like, I just couldn't be more blessed. I couldn't be more like, and I'm just like, that's so sick, right? And I like, I don't know if you guys are actual, like, if I go to Bilmuri shows as a fan, and I know Johnny, like Johnny's a friend of mine. I work with Johnny, but I go there, and in that moment, while I'm in that room, while they're performing, I don't know Johnny. Like they're just a band that I'm a fan of. It's like me going to a fucking Deftones show or some shit. I'm just like, this is sick. Like every single person in the room is jumping around, singing those songs, like having a good time. Like it's a vibe. And that, to see that in real life, cultivate out of internet culture is exactly what we saw in MySpace times, but now we're seeing it right now. And it's like, he doesn't have to do the whole like, let me create a dance routine on TikTok and be cringy and all this. He's got his own form of it. And so it can work. There is a way where you find your balance with social media, with your music, and you can still make it happen. But I think that's the challenge now is cultivating your persona and your connection to your audience, because you can't, it's not just going to be about let me make a cool song and send it out to everybody. And it's also not going to just be about like here's a cool I don't know, video that we shot on a red camera and like everybody look at it. You have to figure out how to
warehouse with LED
Yeah.
panels in the back. Yeah.
Right, like it's like how do you got to create a like, yeah, this just, you got to create a thing. And you know, Bill Murray's done probably one of the most excellent jobs of doing that, and Archfire as well.
Both. And can you even imagine, like you're talking like, oh, my fans are sending me that. Imagine how that person feels, right? You send an idea and then he's doing it. Like it's there. Like people don't think about those things, but like the connection you just created, the person, the moment it's out, probably sent it to all his friends, everybody he knows, like she knows, just being like, I look, they used the thing that I done, and then people are just in their mind. It's not, I'm not sure if it's conscious for everybody, but like you just open up the door, like it's possible. You guys can reach me, and you're part of this. It's a thing right now, as opposed to, I think we grew up in like, if we go back in time before all of that, it felt not accessible. It was like impossible to be able to do that. Your best option was maybe talk to the person someday. That was your only, and even then. So I think it's brilliant to use, to actually do things with your community. So, and especially for you seeing that also, right? Attack, and then Bilmuri, and then we can talk also about Beartooth and Caleb. So it's pretty insane as a. Sorry, Dom, I cut you off, but as a trip.
No, I was the one cutting you off. I just think that there is, I guess, like something to, you know, most of these people are at the very least some like charismatic to a certain extent, right? I think some people just have that inherently more. Like the examples we all gave are kind of more on the goofy end of things too. I think that's maybe an easier thing for people to tap into when it comes to making, you know, band content and stuff like that. So I feel for people that are like, yo, I'm like literally just a guitarist and I'm probably not funny, you know, like I feel for those people, right? But at the same time, there's usually more people in a band and all these things, or at least outside help, if anything. But you know, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool when we see like the modern examples of it being done well. Just a quick second to talk about the sponsor of today's episode, Indie Merch Store. Legendary producer Dave Otero is putting on his first annual Flatline Fest in Denver, Colorado. It's a 2-day festival. It's happening on June 13th and 14th, featuring bands like Arcspire, Aborted, Infuri, Cattle Decapitation, Eligian, Cephalic Carnage, The Zenith Passage, and more. Tickets are on sale now, and you can also snag merch from a ton of those bands over at indiemerchstore.com. The Last 10 Seconds of Life have a brand new album called The Dead Ones. It's coming out on April 17th via Metal Blade Records. You can check out the brand new title track right now wherever you listen to your music. Pre-orders are live on indiemerchstore.com, where you can get album-themed tees, limited vinyl, and CDs. You can always use code BRUTALITY at checkout to save 10% off of your entire order. Again, that's code BRUTALITY at checkout for 10% off. A massive shout out to Indie Merch Store for supporting the show. Now, back to the episode. We had Yasmin from Face Yourself on the show, and I think they're doing a fantastic job with it as well. In terms of like modern a modern band doing it, especially in like in deathcore, it tends to more so be super serious all the time. That's just like the thing now. So it's cool to see Face Yourself be like, you know, they're goofy with it, and they're doing the memes and they're
stand out stuff too. It's difficult to stand out. I think they're doing a good job.
The thing the deathcore soundboard they did with you, I thought was really fucking cool.
Yeah. See, that's just us trying to be like, how do we like, take this to a different level. And the band is very thoughtful about the content, and that, like, when we did the first EP, they made they made a mockumentary and a
Yeah.
documentary. So we did like the side by side, like here's the funny version of an episode and here's the serious one. And I loved that, and that was like the studio updates all over again, but on Instagram. And then we were talking about some different stuff for this newer EP. There's some things that we discussed that we never did. I'm not going to reveal those in case we end up doing them in the next recording session. But they're very content focused, and you can tell because one of their most viral posts that they did recently was the dodgeball circle pit, or the dodgeball mosh pit during the breakdown. And then they just did a Christmas version of that, a snowball fight or something like that. And both of those, like, those videos are going like, they're getting
crazy. Yeah.
They're going crazy. And like, it's like, that's the kind of thing where it's like, listen, you could be the coolest death metal band in the world, and you can make like maybe the most like epic death metal story lyrics written, like something to where it's like people talk about it in a literature perspective or something, but that's not going to necessarily translate into streams or fans or followers or listeners or people showing up at your shows. And I think the harsh reality to somebody who wants to be very, very wrapped up in their art is that you also have to create the circus that brings people to the art. And, that can be a frustrating idea for some people. But I don't think it's so weird because, I think for every Cirque du Soleil show that's just absolutely beautiful, and if everyone could see it, they would agree that it's just such a wonderful piece of art. There's also a marketing team behind that to just get people to come and sit in those seats and watch that show. And unfortunately for musicians nowadays, you are the marketing. Like, you can't just get on this label and now a bunch of people love you. Like, you're the ones that, you're the ones that you're building the fans. People are attracted to you because you're the person that's making it, especially now because we have AI. So the AI entered the chat, and now it's even more important that you need to be you, like, because now it's like AI doesn't have a personality, but you do. So I think if you're not sharing, and I don't know if this is like, I'm giving advice to like bands or whatever. What is this podcast about? But if you're an artist and you're not sharing your personality, like, you're literally losing time. You're losing time.
1,000%. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, that's all you got. That's all you got is your own originality and your creativity, and you should share it.
Couldn't agree more. And the other thing I just to pile on that also is a lot of people think that it's like so much work and stuff like that. Like, some ideas, sometimes it's like 4 minutes and it's the best things you ever did. And I'm sure you have those experiences in studio as well. Like, oh, maybe what if we do that? And now it's the next big thing. Like, I feel like, to me, the way I see it is, if you think about your idea and you just think about the metal community, in my opinion, you're doing something wrong. It needs to be, not necessarily, but to me, it needs to be something that everybody can resonate with. Like, you just talked about, like, the dodgeball thing. You don't need to go to a metal concert to think that it's cool as a video. You can share that. You could, I mean, like, my mom could share that and be like, hey, this happened at a metal show. So I think I'm not speaking for all the ideas. Obviously, you need to target your audience, but I'm saying in terms of moments and maybe doing well in terms of videos, sometimes just thinking outside of it is like, my best video that I've ever made is the stupidest thing. I made a sound like a growl. It sounded like a concrete block and it reminded me of a video game, and I just put the image. My best thing, it took 5 minutes to put together. So I feel like a lot of people are so kind of, I feel like it's going to be so much work and stuff like that. Some ideas, it's just fun, and it takes a few minutes and it resonates with with everybody. Just to add on your point, I don't think it needs to be that complicated or impossible to do. It could be very simple.
I think there's beauty in simplicity, like in an essence, but like also I think it's very easy to get in your own way of like thinking like, oh, I need to be this really cool like deathcore vocalist and I need to have like this certain look and people need to be like scared of me, or I need to be tough, or and that's all cool and everything, and then you can do that, but and that actually might even be your thing that works with your audience, but at the same time I think it's also often used as a way to talk yourself out of stuff that would be really a really good thing for your audience. I'm guilty of this myself. You know, I have to step out of my shell constantly. I'm an introvert. You know, I sat around and played video games and recorded bands, and that was my life. I lived in my house and never left. You know, until I grew up and started traveling the world, and now I'm a different person. But back then, it's like it was very hard for me to come out of my shell, and I think that's a common problem with artistic people, because you are kind of inside your head all the time. You're thinking about what like when you create art, what does it mean and why are you doing it? And you're very self reflective in the sense that you are almost like questioning everything and second guessing yourself, and you're never sure if your art's really good, and you're, you know, and somebody might say, oh yeah, that sounds really great, but like you're also kind of like, yeah, but what does that person know? And there's all these things going on in your head, and it's like kind of a constant battle. But like thankfully with social media today as it is, I'm constantly reminded that there is somebody out there with just about anything that I do that's very either appreciative or entertained by it or grateful for it, or just also just giving me like cool, like, oh, that was so awesome, like love that you created this or shared this or whatever. So because it's more accessible, I think you get more of the good and more of the bad, but I think the hardest thing for artists is to ignore the bad. They for every one bad, like you could have one really good comment and 10 really bad comments, and the one good comment wouldn't matter, because you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, well,
it's like
no,
people,
the opposite, even, right? You'll
yeah,
have
you can
10
have 10
positive comments and one bad one, and it's the only
that's
one you're
actually,
going to focus
thank
on.
you. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, you have like a dozen really good comments, and then there's just one comment that's just like gets under your skin, and you're like, damn it, I still suck. You know, and you like, you know, and so I think like I would just caution most artists that are living that reality or dealing with that problem in their own mental health, is to just be like, dude, like you create art. There are like, for every piece of art that you create, there are a million other people that don't create art. There is a million other people that are just a cog in the machine. They work a stupid job that they hate. They don't do anything that they like. Their only outlet is video games, and it's like, or whatever. And it's like you actually have something in your life that's fulfilling and fucking cool. So like just remember that. Like don't forget about where you are in society, because you're an entertainer, you're an artist, you create stuff. That's what like humans were built to do. Like we're built to use our creativity in different ways. It's the reason why we have all these cool things like Teslas and video podcasts and $3,000 Rode microphones that sound awesome.
That sounds,
you know?
very good. Yes, that
know?
does. We have the proof today. I think you're completely right, and I keep saying that. So sorry for people who watch our show and still gonna hear that. But not only by attacking someone, you're kind of admitting that you're miserable, right? Because if you're doing well, you don't feel like doing that. But also the other thing is, I think it's this thing where when you see someone who has no social pressure and it's just the person is just being themselves, let's be honest, who wouldn't want to be themselves fully? I mean, it's just a given. Everybody wants to be themselves. So I think they're triggered, and it's way easier to dismiss it and being like, you're cringe, you suck, you're this, because then they have the excuse not to do any of that. So every single time, that's why I'm telling people, because people ask me, because like I have my fair share of cringe things that I'm doing, and people are like, I'm like, because I don't care. Like, I'm done doing that for these people. You need to remember that people around you, the people that matters, they won't say you're cringe or maybe they will if you're really way too cringe. But it at the end of the day, does it matter? That's what I'm asking people. What's the worst thing that's gonna happen? Comment? That person keep commenting. They don't like you. Nothing's gonna happen. But people are so scared. So I feel like they're triggered because they're scared, and you're not. They won't admit it. They won't say that. But that's what's happening. I think they're seeing people being themselves. No pressure. Not scared of being goofy and stupid. And they're upset because they cannot do that. That's my take on I think that's what's happening a lot.
Yeah, I think artists have a stage because they're willing to get on it and say something, and that's a privilege. You know, that's something that actually I was very inspired by something I heard Ross Robinson say. I'm gonna butcher I don't know it word for word, but he said something to the effect of like, when you're recording a band, like you're creating a piece of history forever. It's like the gravity of that idea, which is to say, like, by the end of this process, whatever we made together will be a permanent part of history, because it will become an audio file that goes into a pressing plant, that goes on CDs, that goes into a streaming distribution platform and becomes uploaded forever to the internet for everyone to hear forever and ever and ever and ever for hundreds of years from now. And it's like you're creating a time capsule of what these artists decided to do together at this time. And it's like the responsibility, the gravity, the weight, all the things that come with the idea of that is just so intense, you know. And I take it very seriously. I think about that almost every single time I open my recording software, like on my computer. I'm like, making history today, you know. And it's like, I think that if you show up to the job with that idea, like not only from a producer perspective, but as an artist, it kind of flips it on its head, because you go from thinking like, oh, what if everyone thinks I'm a dork and I suck and my music is terrible, to I'm making history today. This song is going to exist forever. This is going to be epic. Like, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to show people like what I've been thinking about and what inspires me and why I'm creating this. It's like a different way to approach the sort of the dilemma, the mental dilemma, or the emotional dilemma of what's going on. And for some people that works as an inspiration, and also for some people it works as a sort of a deterrent.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's
because
it's gonna be cringe forever.
Yeah, like you're like looking up. Yeah. You're like, oh, people are gonna hear how bad I suck forever. But I try, I try to pick,
because that's when people get too precious maybe about their stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're overthinking it, because it's like, yeah, it's gonna be, it won't be
but
erased.
for me, I guess maybe it's more of a producer thing, but for me, it's very inspirational, because the artist might come in that day and be like, oh, I woke up today, I had a runny nose, I'm coughing, blah, blah, blah. And then in my head, I'm like, we're making history. So I'm like, how do I get this person to just get in the fucking zone? How do I make them smile and get them like ready to go? Or how do I piss them off so that they're like ready to scream, And it's like, I want to create that sort of environment. I want to know more
about those techniques, if I'm being real.
You had to be mean. Like, what happened?
Oh yeah. I mean, you just figure out what
with buckets of water.
We used to tickle feet. That was a big thing. We tickle feet a lot. Yeah, we'd have.
It worked.
I used to have so many people sleeping in my house. Like it'd be like assistant engineers plus the band plus like maybe touring crew or like assistants or whatever. And we just go like, I'd wake up before everyone else and just like go around like just touch people's feet and stuff, and they'd be like, like, get off me, and I'm like, come on, let's wake up and make history.
A good
I mean,
way
it
of
was
doing
fun.
it.
I mean, look, kind of on that subject, I think we would both really love to pick your brain on maybe some experiences on with specific recording sessions. Maybe if you
Yeah.
have any stories to tell or anything anything of note.
Sure.
There's like there's this one album that I think a lot of people don't even really know that you produced. But it's a staple for us in the deathcore scene. Can you is there anything to say about Oceano's Depths?
Oh man.
The big
What?
one.
Yeah.
Because
And
that's like
this
a
was-
grail in the deathcore
Yeah.
scene, and that's a
Still good, by the way.
early Joey album.
Yeah. Oh my God. I could say so many things about this one, but I guess here's the core of the story, okay? So, and I'm not exactly sure where this energy came from, but it was there, and it's the reason why the album is what it is. Basically, I had never worked with Earache Records before, and I think if my intuition is correct, I don't know this to be true, but if my intuition is correct, I think Earache really went out on a limb to sign Oceano. Which creates basically a high stakes scenario where they're like, we got Oceano, we got Joey Sturgis, and we got this budget, and we need to make this fucking thing pop off. And it's like that energy was just everywhere. It was seething through the label. It was seething through the management. It was seething through the artist. So every single step, every little thing was being meticulously critiqued and looked at under a microscope. I felt like I was sitting there at my computer and there was like 20 FBI agents over my shoulder, like looking at my screen going like, what are you doing? And so I really felt the pressure of having to basically deliver something that was just absolutely like epic as hell. And the band really didn't let me like try to slip up at all. Like, not that I was trying to be lazy or do a bad job or anything, but it was just a whole new kind of layer of expectation that I wasn't used to at that time. Like, I just didn't have people breathing down my neck like that, where it was just like, this has got to be sick. This has got to be the fucking fastest record, the most brutal sounding record, the loudest record. It's got to be the most aggressive record. It's got to sound the heaviest. It's got to be this, and this. And I'm like, guys, oh my God, you're fucking, it's overwhelming.
And context,
You did,
Oceano doesn't have a name at that point either, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the album that blew them up. They maybe had some demos before that, but that's, there was nothing. It's not like they were coming in with their third album and the expectation was to kind of just one up the last one. Like, you're kind of clean slate with, which is even more, I guess, intimidating.
Creating an artist, literally creating an artist. Yeah. Which they had a head start because they had been sort of a staple in their live scene a little bit, from what I understood, and obviously had demos, and it was really just up to me to kind of like take the demos and turn them into like really polished products and really good songs and recordings and everything. So suffice to say, I went all out. I really killed myself to try and make that something actually special, which there were, and I don't know how long you want to talk about it, but there's so many different angles that I went about it in order to make that happen. Like, as one example, all the drums were recorded for real. And then not only did we do that, but we also then sampled the entire drum set. And then for every single hit in the recording, not only did we have the real recorded hit that's like there from the performance, and it's edited and it's in the, it's the original performance, we would layer it with the sampled hit too. So if he's hitting the splash cymbal, it's coming through the overheads and the room mics. But then I also have another track So I've got 2 overhead tracks. I got 2 room mic tracks. So that's 4 tracks for that splash hit. And it's the performance, so it's like everything that's happening with the drums and everything. But then there's like a 5th track, or sorry, yeah, 5th track that's like that splash cymbal also being hit,
Isolated, like alone.
isolated, like on top of it, and that's for every fucking hit. So that was like, do you understand how much fucking shit that I did there? Like that was a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. But that's also why you can listen to that recording and hear every goddamn splash, ride, bell, ride, hi-hat, every little nuance and detail of the drums. Then it came time to do the guitars. Okay, what are we doing with the guitars? Well, not only are we going to play the whole record without an overdrive pedal, we're going to play the whole record with an overdrive pedal. So we fucking recorded the whole record twice on guitars with and without an overdrive pedal, with actual unique takes, not like, let me take the one take,
not reamping it, yeah.
not reamping it. No, play it through the fucking pedal. So we did that, and now it took a whole shitload of time. And then it was like, all right, vocals, what are we doing there? Thank God that Adam was really good at vocals, because it was just like, all right, you just run through the song like 2 or 3 times. I've got all the layers I need. Like, you know, like
at the end of the
that dude was a freaking machine. Like
you slept 1 hour in weeks, and you're just like, let's.
So we,
you know what?
A lot of
one layer, guys.
5 layers for a splash. Vocals just 1. We're good. We're good.
So a lot of just care and passion, I guess, just went into that. And it was just, you know, I spent very long time on every element of it. And then we got to the mix, and I was mixing it like a metalcore record. I'm going to be honest with you. I was mixing it like any other thing that I would fucking do. But then like, they were just like, that's not what that's not what we're trying to do here. And it's just not sounding right. And so, if I remember correctly, and I'm curious to see, I don't know if any of the dudes are here watching this, that'd be really cool. But like, I can't remember who was there, but there was like 2 or 3 people in the band that were there that day. And for the entire day, from the morning to the night, I mixed the same song, like just on repeat. So I would mix it. We'd go out to the van and listen to it. And then I'd be like, nah, this isn't right. And I'd go back in there, mix it again, spend it like another hour on it, bounce it down, take it out to the van. Oh, no, this isn't right. Then go back in there. And we just did that like so many times. Like I must have done like 15 mixes that day. And then it was just kind of like, all right, I think we dialed it in. Like we're at least pretty close, you know? And then it was a waterfall after that. Like after we got over those first humps of like all the challenges that went into like getting it to where it needed to be and making it sound the way it sounds now, it's like everything else just fell into place, because now you can transfer over those settings, those methods, those techniques to all the other songs. And then of course we took that, the last thing that I did, which it's unfinished on the album, to be honest with you, is the fucking orchestra stuff. And like
that's what I wanted to ask. That was going to be my next question, because apparently you were kind of a big part in that aspect of it, right?
Yeah. So there were some songs that really spoke to me where I was like, oh, I can hear what's gonna happen here. Like I hear like a brass section on this and some strings and this like these like kind of things. And so I whenever I heard those and they were speaking to me, I was starting to add them in. But we kind of ultimately ran out of time. And so there's like some songs that are really dressed up and have like lots of fucking epic stuff going on. And there's other songs that are just a little more bare bones. And that's just the nature of the beast.
I think it's fine that way. I think like a fully fledged like orchestra from start to finish kind of album would have made it a little bit different than what we ended up getting. I don't know if I'm sure obviously you'd be able to go back into it and change some things, but I think it worked for the songs it was on. It did the job.
I think it was a big part. The ambience of it to me at the time felt very dark. And I remember feeling earlier in the conversation, you were saying it has has to be the heaviest thing. You succeeded. Everybody in the scene, when that album came out, it was the new heavy. I'm speaking for a lot of people at the moment, but so many people. Well, first, like Adam's vocals, obviously, is a big, it's a big part of that. But like the album itself, I remember thinking, like the District of Misery video, I was like, that's as heavy as it's gonna get.
Thank God the label spent the money on that video, right? Because it's just like there's a phenomenon that happens to you as a producer, because you're so, like, you have this relationship with the song because you've been working on it for so long. You've heard it so many ways, and you've heard it through all its different phases. And you've also heard it many times. And you get to the point where the song feels a certain way and has a certain kind of image in your head of what it is, a sonic footprint, or even a font, if you will, like Times New Roman versus Comic Sans. Like you can kind of see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like the song has like a thing in your head. Then the video comes out, and it's a whole different thing.
It's the live action of the.
You're like, oh my God,
books you were reading and imagining. Yeah.
You just made this song sound different to me, and I made this song. Like, and then that's, I think that is a heavily underappreciated, maybe even overlooked kind of aspect of this whole thing, is like when you bring the visual part of it to the table, you've completed the idea, and you've made the idea shift. Even like, you listen to the song without ever seeing the video, and you feel one way, and then you see the video and you hear the song and you feel a completely different way. And it's like hard to get back to that feeling without ever seeing, like, if you've seen the video, you can't like unsee it.
No.
So that's a magic. Honestly, that's one of my favorite parts is magic. It's magic to me because I make
you get to re-experience it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like listening to it for the first time again, as like a fan or someone else from the outside a bit.
Yeah. Like that I get entertained. Like for me, it's work until it becomes a music video, and then I'm like, oh, that's sick. That's actually really
look,
cool.
I'm sure for better or for worse, right? I'm sure there's
some of them are botched, but
I mean, no, but you have a good point.
They do to my precious song, come on.
Let's be honest, like the Stick Stickly video, like it would be stupid to not acknowledge that the video was a big part of it as well, like the crabcore moves and everything. Like it's another, I mean, and if we start on crabcore, I think it's going to be the topic for the rest of the thing, because I love talking about that. But before, I have a question, like, maybe not, you don't have to be specific about like Oceano and stuff like that, but I'm guessing you must have moments, like kind of a celebration of like, it worked, guys, we did it. Like, do you recall moments like that where the band is just like, Joey, like, look at what, I don't know, like opportunities they're getting, or clearly it's working on Myspace, or
that maybe wasn't expected, probably like maybe a band that doesn't really have a track record, and then it's like, holy shit, this thing's blowing up for
something
real.
That's like Asking, or like stuff that like blows up, because you have your fair share. I mean, we couldn't even list the amount of bands that blew up after recording with you, so it's like, I'm guessing you have those moments with the bands probably.
Oh yeah. Some of them are really funny because this is kind of like a long-winded story, but it'll be a decent example of how something can just turn into something so big without you really even trying or knowing that it would do this. So we were recording, I want to say it's Reckless and Relentless, but it also might be, no, I think it is Reckless and Relentless. They're recording Reckless and Relentless, and Danny is on a bender and he's going through some shit, and he's locked himself in one of the bedrooms of my house that no one has been able to get him to come out, and no one has been able to unlock the door for days and days. And finally, just out of nowhere, one day, he unlocks the door, comes out. We're all like, oh, you okay, dude? Like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, I'm getting picked up in 5 minutes. I'm going to the airport. And we're like, where are you going? He's like, I'm going away. And we're like, okay. So He leaves, and we're just like, we've already got like the music done pretty much. I mean, I think we had like maybe a couple fucking things to do. And I'm like, Ben, what are we gonna do? Danny's not here, he's gone, and we have like all this time. We have like another 2 weeks left. He's like, well, let's just open the songs and keep fucking with them. I was like, okay. And so we're doing that. And then one day we get really bored of doing that. We're like, let's make another song. And he's like, I want to make a hit song. And I was like, oh, I can teach you how to make a hit song. I was like, it just needs to have 4 chords and they need to be the like, and so I pick up a guitar and I'm just like, okay, here's the 4 chords. What do you think? You like those chords? He's like, yeah, that sounds good. So I put those chords down. He's like, okay, now what do you do for the verse? And I was like, well, it's the same fucking chords. You just play them differently. So we did that. We only used 2 of the chords for the verse, 4 of the chords for the chorus, something like that. I'm basically in my head, I'm just like, I'm teaching him how to make a Motley Crue song. And in his head, he's like, I'm learning how to make a hit song from Joey Sturgis. This is crazy. And so we just keep doing that. And like, we go on and on and on and on, like throughout the day and the night. And we end up with Moving On. So Moving On is now a song that exists and nobody had thought it was going to be a thing. Like we just made it out of thin air. We send it to Danny. Danny comes back. Danny's like, I have vocals for this song and I want to record them. So he comes back, he records the vocals, and we just go, holy shit, this is a hit. Like this, what did you just do to this song? Because it sounded kind of dumb. Like it was just those 4 chords. It was nothing special. And I was just showing him like, this is basically what all hit songs are. They're just like basically a couple different, really simple ideas, things that people can like remember. They're catchy, you know. But then Danny like told that whole story, sung the vocals that he sung, came up with the melodies, like made it, basically turned it into a thing. And it's like now that's one of their fucking number one. It's like one of the biggest songs that they have. Like if I look on my Musos charts, it's in the top 3 or top 5 songs of all time of my whole career. And it's just it was like kind of almost like a prank. It was just like, here's how easy it is to make a hit song. Like, boo, do, 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 you know, all right, cool. That's done. And then like send it to Danny. And he's like, I've never been so torn up. And it's like, damn. All right, here we go. Like that's, to me, that's like the magic of music, is that it can be so simple and still be so impactful. And you never know what it's going to be. You never know like what you could just be recording in your eyes. You're just like, okay, that guy, he's playing a riff. I'm recording it. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Going about your day. And then all of a sudden it's like the number 1 metalcore song in the world or some shit. Like that's the craziness of it. And as a producer, I've learned to not really think about that while I'm creating and working, because it's like impossible to know.
Right.
None of us ever would have thought like Moving On was the ballad of the record. It was slow. It was boring. It has a stupid key change in it. And, you know, all those things. And it's like, but it's one of the biggest songs and we never would have thought it would be. So, you know, you never know. And I think it's just like comes back to, you're an artist, you're creating stuff. You don't know what's going to happen with it, but what you should do is just keep creating and just keep being true to yourself. And eventually you'll find your audience, you know?
Oh, well said. I think it's awesome too, because like it's the journey of things. Like earlier we talked about Johnny and Bilmuri. So for you to see the kid in the tech, literally a kid in the tech attack, jumping around, doing that stuff, and like you saw the entire evolution, to see people like that. I'm not saying it's all the case for everybody, but it must be a trip for you to, like you said, like he's a good friend of yours now, and you're looking where it must be a trip for you. You saw all the phases, just Reckless and Relentless. You saw like before Stand Up and Scream, like where these guys were, which is starting, and then you kind of saw them like they blew up. Let's be honest, they blew up like this, like
Instant.
just
Yeah.
biggest band, to the point where people thought it was like staged
instantly into the tour bus for them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of unheard of for that scene, especially back then.
But they also had the work ethic, like, I'd be in one room like editing drums, and they'd be in my living room like watching videos and being like, "Oh, we need to look like that, or we need to do this. Like that band is that's really cool what they're doing on stage. Look at that. You see what that guy's doing? Like that's cool." And they never stopped. Like they were literally like Danny was downloading new synth software every day and be like, "Listen to this sound, listen to this patch." And he'd like have a keyboard hooked up to his laptop, and he'd like come out of his bedroom and be like, "Oh my God, listen to this sound." Like they were just obsessed about all of it. And like
Hmm.
that's the reason why I think they went anywhere, is because it's just like they literally lived and breathed what they were doing. And I think there's so many there's another side of this where there's a lot of it really entitled people now that just believe like the system is built against them. And I work so hard on my art, and I make this music, and I put it out, and nobody gives a shit, and it's like because Mark Zuckerberg and blah blah blah. And it's like, I don't think so, man. Like you have more tools to do what you're doing right now than anyone in the history of music. You can upload a song onto Spotify in 5 minutes, and it'll be there tomorrow if you really want it to be. Like, that's crazy. Like, that never really existed before. You can have your music video on YouTube tomorrow. Like, you could shoot it tonight, edit it, upload it, and now it's in front of a global audience. So what the hell are you complaining about, you know? Like, get out there and figure out how to create something. That's why I said earlier in the episode, it's like you got to create a thing. It's not just about like creating a song or being an artist. You got to create a thing. People want to be a part of community. It's a natural like human instinct. And it's like when you find your people. And there's a lot of people that are trying to do that through music. It's Bill Murray is a really good example of like finding your people, you
Yeah.
know? So I think artists should try to think about cultivating community and building a fan base more so than what's the secret Spotify um, advertising campaign, or what's the
Yeah,
magic,
the
like,
marketing trick or the
yeah,
the
it's like
correct
none
keywords
of
to put in your video or
doesn't
hashtags are
matter,
not on
dude.
Instagram. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's human psychology and it's culture. And if you figure those things out, which is obviously challenging to do, you're going to get much further than anyone that's relying on a couple of tricks.
1,000%. And people also like people are not stupid. They can see if it's real or if you're being yourself and stuff.
Yeah,
We keep saying that. Like, don't think that people are just they won't see through it. Like that's why be yourself. It needs to be authentic. If you're trying to be something, it won't work. And the other
yeah,
thing that I keep hearing in all the podcasts about, I love a lot of different, obviously I'm doing a podcast, but like the actors or people that made it like far Hollywood, anything, they all say the same thing. You need a little bit of delusion and believe in yourself like crazy no matter what. Like if you have those things, it's going to reach the right people. I just wanted to I thought it
yeah.
fit with
Believing
what
in
you're saying.
yourself is a big one, and that I think that can be for some artists maybe one of the hardest things to do, especially if you're surrounded by like parents or siblings or relatives that are like, why don't you get a real job, or like why are you always messing around with this like silly social media stuff or whatever. Like that can be very defeating. And I think that it's also one of those things where you could have a friend group that also doesn't really understand it. And so you're kind of up against a mountain in that scenario. But look at like Michael Jackson's like story where, he was literally like beaten almost every day by his dad, and like basically had like there was just so many reasons why he could have failed, but he just didn't. He just didn't. He like just kept going at it. And like maybe not the best example, but I feel like I'm often preaching a message. It's a very simple one. I say it a lot of times, but it's basically just like the easiest way to lose is to give up. So, just don't. Just don't give up. Just don't be the person that's going to be like, you know what? Like, I don't feel like doing it today, or like, I'm tired of all the negativity, or like, I really can't. I just, you just have to keep doing it. And again, a lot of people look at my career, they're very inspired by, I guess, what I've been able to accomplish. But at the same time, I didn't, I wasn't really trying to do this in a sense that like, I wasn't trying to be like, let me become the world's best producer. But you know what
Mhm.
I did do? I just did it every day. I just did the thing every
What
fucking
up?
day. Like I just, and it's just like you get to a point where you're doing it more than anyone else. And you're doing it, and because of that, you're in it deep to the point where you get really good at it. You get better at it than other people, and it goes somewhere. And it's like,
The output too, just the sheer amount, right, that comes out is always like a, if you're a band putting out an album every 3 years, well, yeah, you've got one chance every 3 years type of thing. It's obviously more nuanced than that, but it is like a part of that game too, right? But I think especially, I mean, because you were obviously not to diminish, the disapproval of friends and family and all this stuff, but I've found solace in the internet, right? Like that's where I've been able to find communities where otherwise I didn't have like-minded people uh, in real life
oh
necessarily,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
I think we're so lucky because of that. Like
Yes.
in the event of Michael Jackson, he couldn't go on fucking Instagram
Yeah.
to go find his friends,
Nope.
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
would enjoy the same things as him. But like for us, like we're so lucky in that sense. I find to
Even
be able
going
to.
through the same things. That's the craziest part. People that literally go like the same exact things you're going through. That's
I think
insane.
that's
And
that's a good shout, because it's like you are living in a time period now where you pretty much could connect to like a virtual friend circle or a virtual support group, in a sense where like, and it could be your fan base. Maybe your fan base is going to gas
Yeah.
you up and just be like, yeah, like let's go. Like I feel like it's what's happening for Bilmuri is like,
yep.
you might be getting out of bed going like, man, am I really gonna make the next, like I would feel the pressure if I was him, where he's created a lot of really good shit.
Hmm.
So I'd be like, man, was my next song going to be good or not? But then his fans are just there to be like, can't wait to hear your next song. And you're like,
Yep.
yeah. So I think that we are, again, when I said we have all the tools, we also have like the access. Like that's another thing to look at, is you have access to your fans, and you also have access to people who are just like you or going through the same thing as you. It's like you have no excuses. You really don't. And I think that's the thing that a lot of when I think about like how labels look at an artist or an act as a potential as a potential roster move, it's like they're probably looking at it the way that we're talking about this right now, where it's like, is this artist seem entitled? Do they seem like they're like they're still working hard, or that they're going to expect the most, like, and do the least? Like I feel like and there's a lot of negative talk about labels too, so I kind of don't want to make this all about labels. But
No,
I
I mean
think,
both ends of the spectrum for all people
Yeah.
involved, right?
yeah. Yeah, and it's like, cuz a lot of the times like labels are just really advanced loans and stuff, but at the same time, like it's very easy to just feel like you're going to do XYZ or ABC, like you're going to do these 10 steps, you're going to do this trick, you're going to execute this thing, and like you still get nowhere. And I think that our society and social media has really amplified this. It's kind of built around this idea that like if you tried it once, you failed, and like it's not worth going after.
Hmm.
And I think that that's the slow burn of the music industry, where if you can withstand the whole journey, if you can go through all of that pain, struggle, and challenge, you will find at the other end that you basically create your best art. you get to your peak of you know, right music at the right time, with the right fans, with the right moment. Like, and if you give up though, you won't ever reach it. And if you also don't stick to your sort of your DNA or your morals or whatever they are that make you like unique as an artist, you'll also basically be like you'll be starting over. Um, Similar to like a person that maybe goes to school and says, I want to do pencil art. And they get really, really fucking good. They get to the point where they're starting to do the shading and the lighting and everything. And then they get to the end of it and they're like, you know what? Been doing pencil art for 15 years. Never really kind of went anywhere with it. Never sold a single drawing. Like, I'm going to learn painting now. And it's like, dude,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Back to year zero. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I see a lot of different things because I work with a lot of different people at different phases of their career. So I'm kind of speaking a little, I'm a little rambling and jumping around, but I think my main point is just like the worst thing you could do to yourself is to work so hard and so long on something and then just like kind of throw it away. So I just try to encourage people not to do that. I think I have some artists that I'm working with now that kind of already feel that way. And I'm like, no, you're on the cusp of something. And it might feel like you've been doing it for way too long and you should already be there, but you're not yet. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Just keep doing it because you're going to learn from it. You're going to learn from your mistakes. You're also going to withstand all the people that couldn't make it through the end of the race. You know, the marathon runners that got too tired or fell down or just didn't make it to the end. But you're gonna go. You're gonna go the distance. You're gonna go the distance, and that's gonna be where you find your listeners because they're gonna. It's giving you the maximum amount of opportunity to reach listeners. It's giving you the longest relationship with those listeners. So just don't stop. Keep going. That's what I say.
Oh yeah, man.
Well said.
And this is completely up to you. This is in your court. I know we're running long on time, and we spoke about this before. Do you mind if we pick your brain on a final band thing?
Yeah.
But I'm pushing it. Feel free.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I would honestly cry if we didn't. I'll be honest.
I'll let you go, Ian. I'll let you go, Ian.
I mean, the Devil Wears Prada. It's like it was my personal entry in that world. Like the early the Devil Wears Prada. Not to remove anything. They're killing it. They're doing super well at the moment. But I feel like for even people in deathcore or anybody in our community, like for a lot of people, it was like the entry. Like the Devil Wears Prada was the introduction of that, and they did it so well. And the whole Vans Warped Tour thing and stuff like that. You got to know them directly as they're building. And if I recall, I don't know if they were your first, but like one of the first band you did and recorded in that way. Am I correct?
Absolutely. This one goes way back to when even I was a drummer in a band and we played a show with them. That's actually how I met them and found out about them. So I was in a band. Oh my God, am I going to really forget the name now? It's been that long. Coraline.
Okay.
So I was in a band called Coraline. We were a metalcore band. I was the second drummer, I think, and learned all the songs, started writing new songs. We actually recorded, this is such a sad story, but we recorded like a 16 song album and it's gone forever. I don't know where it is. It's like
you did the thing that we were just telling people not to do.
Yeah, it's so sad. I think what happened was that it was on my personal computer, which was in a storage unit, which my parents didn't pay the bill, and it got auctioned.
So someone may have it.
Yeah, but they don't know. Whoever bought that shit doesn't know who Joey Sturgis is. Trust me. This is before my time. They just saw a compact computer and like, I can get $99 out of that probably, you know, like whatever.
Or straight to the recycling bin, but yeah.
Yeah. So I was a drummer. We played a show. It was at a coffee shop. This was a very well-known area, sorry, a well-known venue or a coffee shop for metalcore shows in Richmond, Indiana. And I saw the flyer on the coffee shop door that we would go in there every day and like get coffee and whatnot. Like, and just saw the flyer and I was like, the Devil Wears Prada. What kind of band name is that? Like, what the fuck are these guys? And I was like, all right, well, you know, we're playing the show, so let's see what happens. So we play the show, do our set. I think they played after us, if I'm not mistaken. And I just remember watching their set. And I was like kind of standing in the back of the room, like just kind of like this, just like observing everything that's going on. And I just remember having a feeling of like, this is history in the making right now. Like something is, there's like magic happening in this room. And I'm literally witnessing it from like a bird's eye view kind of thing. It was a really weird experience at that time in my life. And so I I actually was just like, I can't wait for them to stop playing so I can talk to them. Like it was like I just I hope your set ends. Like I just want you
Is
to
this the
get
last
done.
song?
Yeah, is this the last
People are
song?
like, another one. You're like, no, they're done.
So I run out to, I think, I don't know if I had a, I can't remember if I had a car at that time or not, but I run out somewhere. I grab the CD that I have, and it was a recording of like some shit that I had made, and I think I just had it so that I could listen to it. But I was like, it was like my only copy or something, and I was like, I'm just gonna give it to them. So I run in there and I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? Like, I know you don't know who I am. I'm in the other band, but I do record. And if you guys ever need to record anything, like I'd love to work with you. I think what you're doing is fucking sick. Here's some of my latest stuff. It's got some of my band stuff on it. It's got some other stuff I'm working on. Like, here, take this CD. And we knew that they were from Ohio, so they were like obviously leaving or whatever. And it was like, they were just like, cool, you know, thanks. And so they go off on their way. And I just keep thinking about it. And I'm like, man, dude, I have to record this band. So I start bugging them. I'm just like, you know, writing them emails and everything. And they're kind of just like, nah. They're just like, we just want to learn how to record ourselves. We don't need any help. Like, thank you so much for the interest, but no thanks. And I was just kind of like, oh man. And then I just thought, well, what if I just keep emailing them like every month or so, and I'll just kind of be like, hey, I'm still here, and so my idea was to just be like, with my emails, I'd be like, guys, hope you're still like doing really well. By the way, I just got a new plugin. It's so sick. It's like these like string samples and they sound super realistic. Like, listen to this or something. And I just kept sending them like emails like that. And it's like, by the way, like if you ever want to record, like, you know, I'm still down. And eventually it just got to this point. I forget how we got on this topic, this conversation specifically, but it was something around the lines of like, all right, we'll come to your place and we'll give you a shot. Because I had said something to them like, I'll just give me like $80, which is just like what I need for the day to pay my rent. My rent was $500 a month. I don't know. Maybe I did the math wrong on that, but like 500 divided by 30, like 500 divided by 30, like that's what I charged them. I was like, just pay that. If you just pay that, like I'll do whatever you want. So they finally said, cool, let's do it. And we made some demos and stuff, and then that turned into what was it, Patterns of the Horizon? Is that the first one?
Is it before Dear Love and Beautiful Discord?
Yeah, it's before that.
The one before that, yeah, it might. I don't even remember the
I think
name.
it's Patterns of the Horizon, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, with it's like white with it. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's a white CD,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they were spreading them out on somebody's garage, that somebody in the band's garage or their park, their driveway or something. They spread them all out, and they took like paintbrushes, like splattered like red paint. Then they were doing it was all done by hand. So every CD was like unique,
Mm.
and they made a bunch of them, and they were playing shows and handing them out and everything. And they got signed to Rise, and Rise at the time had just also signed and had done a record with it's a metalcore band that they did work with Ross Robinson eventually. I can't remember, but the band heard that album and wanted to record with the guy that made that album, and that guy turned out to be Chris Crummett.
Mm.
But they had the working relationship with me on Patterns of the Horizon. And then I don't know who convinced them. Maybe it was Craig Erickson, or maybe it was just like a combination of me and Craig or whatever. But eventually they were like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it with Joey. Let's do the first record with Joey. And so that's how I got my first label project. It was Dear Love, Beautiful Discord on Rise Records with Devil Wears Prada.
That was pretty, by the way, like super, I keep saying it because I made so many videos about like those bands and stuff like that, but like the Divorce, I feel like that album is slept on. Obviously Plague was like, yeah, to me that's kind of when they really blew up, Plagues, and right when they were blowing up with Plagues, with Roots Above and Branches, but it was even, you know, on the rise with A Day to Remember. It was just like the biggest thing ever. But if you go back and revisit, you know, Dear Love with the song like Doug's Kangaroo Bill All Over, like there's a lot of really good songs on it that people don't talk much about. If
and
if
I remember correctly, Dogs specifically, that song, hopefully I'm not butchering this. I'm pretty sure that was on Patterns, and then we redid it for Dear Love. Or pretty sure we made two versions of that song. There are a couple songs like that where we actually ended up recording it different ways. One for the EP and one for the album. And then back in those days, I was not doing any kind of like session continuity. I was not doing any kind of click tracks. I wasn't doing any kind of presets. So everything was just kind of fucking just run and gun. It was just like, all right, set up your drums. All right, set up the mics. Okay, hit record. Like, that's what we did, man. You know, it was not a process.
Which is kind of the opposite of what, you know, you kind of became known for ultimately, right?
Yeah, I cut my teeth on those records, and you know, I was on the Bobby Amaru podcast recently and told the story of like literally like shitting bricks because the kick was fucked on the record, and I was like, how am I gonna fix this? And the only thing that I could think of was to zoom in on the waveform and paste a kick hit every time there was a kick, because I didn't have any kind of other way. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a grid, didn't have MIDI, I didn't have triggers or Drumagog or anything. So for a whole week, I literally was just going waveform, paste, waveform, paste, waveform, paste, waveform, paste. And my friends would come in and be like, hey man, how you doing? You doing good? I'm like, what day is it? What time is it? Where am I? And I just fucking did it. I did it thousands and thousands of times until it was done. And that's how I made the kick sound for Dear Love. It was brutal. You can look at that as inspiration for me to be like, all right, I'm never doing that again. How does this work? Like,
sure. What's the fail safe for this?
I need to find ways. This isn't happening another time. And again, not to sound too corny or anything, but it must have been a trip for you, because if I recall, you also did Roots Above, right? Am I crazy? I think you also did Roots. Okay,
that was a big level up. That was a big level up because. So what we had done up to that point is we did Patterns of the Horizon and Dear Love, a Beautiful Discord. And I think also most of Plagues, or no, sorry, let me back up. Patterns of the Horizon and Dear Love, a Beautiful Discord, that all happened in the garage where I was renting the garage for $500 a month, and it was not even my garage. I was sleeping on the couch. There wasn't even a bathroom. So like I would have to wake up and like ride my bike to the gas station and use the bathroom, and then ride my bike back to the garage and do work and stuff. And then if I wanted to shower, I basically had to wait until the person I was renting from, I waited till they went to work and I had a key. So I would put the key, open the door, go in there, take a shower real quick and act like it never happened and just leave and just like go back in the garage. Cause they like didn't really want like a bunch of people coming in and out of their house, which I totally understood. But at the same time, like I can't
just let the man have a shower, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I dealt with that for years, honestly. And then we did those first two there. And then Plagues was the first one where we kind of broke it up because I was getting kicked out of the garage. They were like, the guy that I was friends with that lived there, he was a guitar player in a band. And he was like, I want to start practicing here again. So you don't need to pay lease, but you also need to get out. And I was like, oh shit.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, we got 6 months of projects here and I got to get the hell out of here. So I called Craig and Craig, I don't know what to do. He's like, all right, well, I want you to go on this website and I want you to find a house that you think would work. Let me know what it is. I'll buy it. You can pay me rent or mortgage. I'll do a mortgage with you if you really want to, so that you can own it. And we'll just keep going. And this is a guy that I've never met before. So this is a guy that's just talked to me on the phone. We've done a couple projects together. He's my manager, and that's it. And we never met. And so he bought
landlord
me.
now.
Yeah, now he's my landlord. So I find a house. He buys it. We do a private mortgage. And I tell him, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make the mortgage payment if you don't keep me busy. And he's like, I understand that. I'm going to keep you busy. So, and sure enough, he did. So,
he all of a sudden had a pretty big vested interest in your business.
Yeah. And it took a while too. It wasn't instant. It took a while to transition to the house. Like even like projects like Oceano Depths. We did the drums at the garage. Did the vocals in the garage. Actually, we did almost everything at the garage except the editing. When I was editing, I did that at the house. But then Plagues was one of those records where it was like some stuff was recorded at the house. Like we did some vocal stuff there and some guitar stuff there. And we did some drum stuff at the garage. And so it was like a mixture. But here's the real game changer. This is why Roots Above sounds leagues above, pun intended, all of the other albums. That studio space in the garage was basically from the window in front of me to the wall behind me was probably about 3 or 4 feet. And if you know anything about acoustics, no matter where you put your monitors in that situation, especially I had Behringer, these are shitty speakers, but they're like Behringer 2032s or something, but they're big. Like they have a big footprint. Everything that I was hearing was just messed up. Like,
right.
So it's a miracle. Honestly, it's a miracle that anything sounded like decently good, especially Depths, because that's the one where I remember the day where I was mixing the song like 15 times.
At least you didn't have any pressure on it.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part. At least it was easy. No, I'm kidding.
So with Roots, I had the opportunity to have basically my own setup in my new space, my new house. And there was this room that used to be a garage, but they had like permanently shut the door and then like built walls around everything. And so there was kind of like,
shit,
yeah, it was like this empty room that was just like kind of perfectly set up to be like a control room. It's not really, but so I go into that space and I'm like, I think my desk will fit perfectly right here. I think my speakers will go perfectly right here. Oh, I have all this space behind me. Okay. So I start setting things up and start listening to stuff. And I'm like, holy shit, this sounds totally different than what I'm used to. And so I'm working on the album and going through those listening changes. in real time. And that's where you hear on Roots is like literally me kind of having that epiphany of like, oh my God, the things that I've been doing with EQ is so stupid. It doesn't sound right. Or like like this sounds this way and it needs to sound this other way. And so you can literally hear that, like you can play like a song from Plagues and a song from Roots, like back to back, and hear such a tonal difference. And that's just literally me finally getting a listening environment that like was conducive to what I was actually trying to do and what I could hear in my head, you know?
Pretty crazy because you in real time, you earlier in the conversation we mentioned, and this is tying up, but like we mentioned that everything you put is in history. In your case, it's like it's your history with that band. Like you see, like you're recording even before Dear Lord, beautiful Discord, Dear Love, beautiful Discord, and then Roots. It's like it's not even the same band almost. So for you, it must be a trip to see, you can see your evolution as a producer through all those albums as well. It's pretty crazy.
Well, also to the band's credit, and similar to my Oceano story, is that every time they came into the studio, the expectation for my performance to be better than the last time was always at an all-time high. And it was kind of like a constant level up because band would level up, but then they expect me to level up too. And they would always bring new things to the table, you know, when Dear Love came into picture was drop D. Plagues, I believe, is drop D or maybe drop C. And then we go into with Roots, and now we're in drop B. And then it's like, it's just this constant pushing the boundaries, raising the bar, setting the standards. And, you know, I really do credit them a lot to my progression in my career and as a producer because they came in with those needs and they expected me to do it. And I rose to the occasion every single time. And so that's one of the beautiful things about working with them is that we were able to kind of all grow together across all those different records from Patterns, Dear Love, Plagues, Roots, and Zombie. And then I also did stuff on Dead Throne. That was produced by Adam D and mixed by Adam D, but I did post-production and stuff. So kind of being with a band with this many records is nuts and such an incredible opportunity. And I think like that's one of those once in a lifetime experiences that kind of molds you. And you know, actually what's so funny, it's sort of also tragic, but funny story is, you know, tragically we Dan Williams passed away in a plane accident recently. He was the original drummer. But what happened out of that is a lot of people from that time period reconnected. And now we all play Dungeons and Dragons with each other every Monday night. So I play D&D with the Devil Wears Prada, well, the original members of Devil Wears Prada every Monday night. And we talk about stories and kind of relive the old days. And so it's a sort of a happy thing that's been born out of something so tragic. But rest in peace to Daniel Williams.
Absolutely, rest in peace.
Yeah. One of my favorite things I've ever heard, that part, I'm not talking about obviously the tragedy and everything, but the fact that you guys are playing, it makes me so freaking happy. I keep saying like I'm a nerd.
Set up a little GoPro in the corner of that room.
I would watch that. I would watch that. I'm literally watching Mike from the Devil Wears Prada. Sometimes he's doing like renovation, I think, in his place, and he's just like filming it on YouTube, and I'm watching this I know nothing about that. Like it's just I'm just hanging out. I'm just like, oh, why not? So D&D, I would watch that. Like, I would pay to see that. Like, honestly,
who's the worst D&D player out of the bunch? Be real.
Well, actually, a lot of us that play were pretty seasoned in our campaign, which is ran by Andy Trick, the original bass player. He's the dungeon master. I play
master of the deep V-neck back then, by the way. Just want to clarify.
That too. But I play a bartender / sort of scam artist named Jongi.
That's what we had earlier in the someone was
somebody was saying
how fast you could eat 25 hot dogs.
Yeah, my friend Ashley was in here earlier, was talking about how fast I could eat 23 hot dogs. I don't have an answer for that. I've never tried it, but as fast as you want me to, I guess. with consequences. But yeah, I play this sort of very like wisecracker, sort of like tongue in cheek, like guy who sort of skirts the rules, and it's cool. I don't know if we're ever gonna like broadcast it because there's a lot
No,
of
I
like
mean, yeah, I mean,
there's
some
like
things
family members
are
that
made
play.
for just being fun. You know,
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I'm
not
just kidding.
everything
Like,
has to be content, but
it's
I'd
a
love to be a
moment.
fly on the wall for sure.
And
Yeah.
it's not to get too specific. I'm just curious, when you say the OG lineup, are we talking like, I think his name is James, like the keyboardist?
Yeah,
Like
James
the
is
OG
there. We got James, we got Andy, we got Chris. I think that's pretty much the majority of the original lineup that's playing. Mike and Jeremy don't play with us, and obviously not Daniel either. But a lot of the wives of them as well are characters in the game, and it's really fun, honestly, because I miss. So a lot of people think I'm from Ohio, but I'm actually from Indiana. But obviously, Indiana and Ohio are bordering states and neighboring states, and so I do feel a sense of community with a lot of people in Ohio because of all the work and stuff that I've done on that music scene. And so it's really cool to like connect with that original community of people that I haven't seen or heard from in so long. And being a producer that works with bands from all over the world or working on projects that don't necessarily have to do with your local scene, it's really refreshing to have that kind of connection. And I don't know, James and I are talking about maybe doing some kind of like I don't want to announce it here, but like we're thinking about doing like a throwback podcast thing with old
Please.
school stories, maybe.
Please.
So it's
Please.
just there's some cool things in the work that came out of this, but we'll see.
Please, for the love of God, because I keep saying, like, I asked for James specifically because I keep saying, like, the Devil Wears Prada, like, in metalcore should be talked about more. I believe, like, their impact and I'm always like Plagues and all those albums, and the keyboardist thing. James is the craziest keyboardist I've ever seen in my life. In terms of like the Cornerstone Festival thing in 2000, that video that blew up, everything.
Was just like I watched that and I'm like, your poor neck.
Legend has it he's still paying for those performances to this day.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
There's a lot of chances. So it's cool to hear like your idea, just to confirm your idea. Like, we're all nerds here and we built on that, like stories and stuff. Like, we're there for it. And I feel like there's a lot of people. The amount of stories you have, Joey, I feel like you could be like a recurring guest easily and we never would run out ever of stories.
I could just talk forever, but yeah, 2025 would be. So when did Dear Love come out?
Oh, was it Plagues? Was 2007? It must have been 2006. Right? I would have said 2006. I would say
2006. Yeah, August 20.
Yeah. So this coming August is the 20th year anniversary of that record, and be on the lookout. We might be doing something.
Oh,
there
please.
we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Please.
All right.
Like,
we're
I'm still
foaming
listening
at the
to that,
mouth. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Dude, Joey, thank you so much, man, for doing this with us, man. This is really cool. And again, you stayed on long despite commitments and all. So we truly appreciate it, man. This is a really fucking cool conversation for us to have. So I appreciate you, man.
For what it's worth, one of the first names that came up for our podcast was would like to have Joey Sturgis on here. So 2 years later, you're here.
It took 123 episodes, but we did it.
And while you're here, I do want to formally apologize because I'm making videos on YouTube, as I said, and it's been picking up and it's doing pretty well. Every time I would mention you, my English is fine, but I'm French first. And in my mind, infamous meant famous. So I kept saying the infamous infamous, yeah, but in my own way, like I would butcher it, which probably helps. People didn't even know what I was saying. But so for years, I would say infamous, thinking it just meant famous. So if you ever hear that, not my intention. I meant famous. And it took, I think, more than a year and a half of me making videos about all those bands that finally somebody's like, dude, yeah, it doesn't mean that. I was like, oh, Oh, that's just great. So here it is.
Our man's been
Not
insulting Joey Sturgis for 1.5 years. So.
Not intentional,
I'm not.
like
I'm
at
not
all.
insulted. And hyperbole is strange that way, right? In fact, one of the things that I've learned being sort of like the owner of a company, like our Joey Sturgis Tones, it's like communication and language are like basically the two most important skills, because I can tell a team member something, and if I say the sentence in just the wrong way, it gets misinterpreted and then communicated in the wrong way, which then trickles down throughout the team. It becomes a huge problem. So I've tried to start learning about how to speak in ways that cannot be misconstrued or like misunderstood. And the thing that I'm learning with English is that it's very hard, actually. The language is pretty poorly structured, especially for giving instructions. So, yeah. What was the most recent example? Oh yeah. So we were having a meeting and we were talking about we're talking about how to speak about a product, and the guy that we were talking to was saying something like, "Oh, we broke the plugin," and he was saying it in a way that you would say like, "I broke a band," like I broke the band, and you guys might understand that as like, okay, you like the band was kind of unknown, you worked with them, and now they're well known. Like
you
understand
made them, yeah.
right? Yeah, but like you say that to like a European, like I broke the plugin. They're like, oh, very talented. You are good at breaking software and creating lots of bugs. Okay, very good. Yeah, and it's like, no, don't say that. That's not, people will not understand it that way. So yeah, but infamous Joey Sturgis.
Yeah.
You're-
So
you're
I've
too
been
title
calling
next.
you that a lot. I don't anymore. So there's that. I didn't do yet my video about Miss May I, so at least in that one I can say it properly. So at least I have one. There we go. So glad it's on the record though.
Thank you
Yes,
guys for
sir.
having me, and I'd love to come back whenever it makes sense. So yeah, appreciate
Absolutely,
I
it.
would
man.
love
Do you,
hearing that, because that would be great. Again, you have like millions of stories. So
do you have anything you want to share with the people?
Yeah.
Anything you want to plug before we hop off?
I guess I could mention I do have sort of a recent resurgence of creating original music. I just kind of came out of nowhere. And I decided to put a name on it and give it a brand and everything. So I have something, it's not like deathcore and it's not like super heavy. I would really describe it as like, almost like hard rock, grunge rock. I guess maybe even imagine Nirvana with a clean voice, because I don't really have a raspy voice. I'm sorry. But I like rock music in that way, and simple 4-chord stuff. But it's still catchy and groovy and interesting. I'm calling it Never Here. And the first single is called Another End. And that song comes out in 6 days, in January 20th.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you can
is gonna
find
come
it
out
on
YouTube on like the 19th, so it'll be the next day.
Perfect. So you can find this on Instagram, and then from Instagram, you'll have all the links and everything, but it's just called Never Here. The Instagram account is called Never Here Band, and the song is called Another End. You can pre-save it right now, link in the bio. But again, I'm not trying. So the thing that's interesting about this project is that I'm not trying to make it like a thing that's about my face or my persona or who, and I'm not, you know what I mean? It's really more of like my artistic outlet at this current period of my life and how I feel about making music. So it's really kind of intentionally just more about the song and the lyrics and not really about me or who I am. So if you can kind of like forget Joey Sturgis and forget Rise Records and forget metalcore and listen to it as just like a grunge rock band that you never heard before, like that would probably be the most That would be the best thing for me if you did it that way.
You're not preaching what we were talking about earlier, my man Joey, but we'll allow it. We'll allow it.
I'm actually very curious because I know you say more grunge and stuff like that, but coming from somebody like me who also enjoys like hard rock, like I don't know, like 3 Days Grace and Breaking Benjamin and stuff like that, I'm guessing I'm probably gonna enjoy at the very least parts of like what you're talking about. It's not you said hard rock, so I'm guessing it's not too far from.
I mean,
that kind of
all
music.
those bands, Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, a huge inspirations to me. Either, even a little like you're not going to hear like Nickelback in this, but like Nickelback guitars, how they're like very, punch you in the face kind of stuff. Like I'm trying to create. I call them caveman riffs. They're just dumb, just like it's like real simple stuff, but it's also just like heavy, like in the sense that it just the way that it sounds is just so bassy and driven. And that's what I'm going for, is just like really big. Like I'm just going for like big sound. It's not about details or intricacies. It's just about more like just a groove and a big heavy sound, and that's kind of all it is. I was actually really inspired by a random band that I came across called Dinosaur Pile Up.
Okay.
I don't know that one. I'll be honest.
Yeah, Dinosaur Pile Up is a band on Mascot Records. They're pretty sick, actually. I heard one of their songs, and the chords that they used were so weird that I was just like, wait a minute, this could work. And I had like an idea, and so yeah, I'm rambling, but check out my new band called Never Here, and the song is called Another End. It comes out January 20th.
Oh yeah,
6
yeah.
days.
I'll have all the links to that in the description, wherever you're watching or listening to this on the replay. So,
Awesome.
Joey, thank you so much.
Thank you again, for real.
That was really cool. Very, very much appreciated, man. And we'll have to keep in touch. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
All right. Peace out,
Thanks.
man.
Peace.
If you made it to the end of this episode, thank you for watching. And hey, while you're here, hit that subscribe or follow button and a review. If you're watching or listening on a podcast platform, it would mean the world, and it helps out more than you know. A big thank you as well to all of our supporters over on Patreon and on Twitch. New episodes every week, links to our Patreon, Discord, and socials in the description. We'll see you soon. We're out.